Hi, welcome to the Pole Shift News, guys. You know, that experiment that I've been doing the last 3 days, we've repeated it 3 times. I've set it up for the 4th time. I'm just going to leave it for the next, 48 hours plus, and we'll see where we get with it. You know, I've seen a few of the comments regarding this, and you know, I've just showed you what I've got as a result. That's it. You know, I've not manipulated the experiment to give a result. It's not the nature of what we do on this channel. We repeat it. The reason why it's been repeated is because, simply, it's unbelievable. 5% missing out of the oxygen in the atmospheric tube. What's going on there? If it had got 20%, that would have been satisfactory first time for me, and I wouldn't have needed to repeat it. Even myself, I don't want to believe what I'm seeing, but the results are what we're getting back. It wouldn't be any different in a laboratory or conducted by, a well-established organisation, renowned for science. So it is what it is. We're looking at the sea surface temperature anomaly, and the last time, it's been a while since I last looked at this, and just from what I can recall, it is getting worse. And if the sea's warming up, then the oxygen at the surface level is going to be converted into atmospheric oxygen, and that is going to, at some point deplete the abundant oxygen in the water, and especially at the lower levels. And, that could be the reason why we're seeing these crustaceans and massive deaths of sea creatures wash up on beaches, because they're probably moving closer inland where the upper surface of the water that contains the oxygen is more abundant, so they make their way naturally to the oxygen-rich waters, and that puts them in the position where they are easily washed up on shore in large numbers, as we've seen all over this world. I've got to say, guys, we are terrible stewards. Sometimes I don't know where I find the energy. I really don't. Such a small proportion of the population, sometimes we're trying to convince of these big changes taking place, and it really gets frustrating sometimes. Even sometimes it's frustrating when there's no support for the channel. I understand, I really do. It's a big deal for some people to make the effort to, even if they've got an abundance of fundings themselves, to actually contribute something towards a channel on YouTube, even though it's a little bit more than that. I don't think I've got to, I just feel like talking today, guys, about other things, about this monetary system, how it doesn't encourage and promote better stewardship on this planet. People are too concerned with the fact that if they don't make a mortgage payment this month, they're going to lose the property. And, I can understand how they feel about such things. That's why they can't afford themselves to, think about other things that is taking place in this world. If it weren't for the monetary system, it would be, trust me, it would be a heaven on earth. But the monetary system means that no one's going to go out the way unless there's something in it for them. And that's the way it is. And it will come to an end, regardless of all this technological advancement we've got. It won't make any difference at all. When I look around at all the technology we've got, I think, has it made us any better? Has it improved humans? And I can't say that it has. I don't think it has, when you look at it. Yesterday I went to the shop and there was three guys talking about the fact that they couldn't remember when the last day was that they actually, had a real dry day. When, it was really dry. I thought if they only knew who it was that, that was talking about this, walked past them, I nearly almost said something and got engaged in the conversation with them. But, it is true. And even the common man who doesn't, look into these facts is starting to notice the changes. Even if it's just on a light level, as that conversation was taking place yesterday with these three guys. It certainly is going to knock the farming about this extended winter in the UK. I know what people think. Oh, well, you've heard the saying, April showers. Well, okay. But we've still got no sunspots. And we know what the outcome of low sunspot yields are. They drive the climate down. Which won't be a bad thing when we consider, the runaway sea surface temperature anomaly. It won't be a bad thing. The upper surface of the oceans may hold on to more oxygen. And as a result of that, these creatures that live in the ocean that depend on the oxygen in the water will benefit from that. But it's not going to happen overnight. And that's because we're talking about a large inertia. For the last 50 years, we've been in a modern maximum where there's been more solar activity. And as a result, it has, lavished the oceans with warmer water. Right now, it's going to take some time to cool back down if the trend continues, if we do stay in this grand solar minimum. And I think it's not going to be a case of a grand solar minimum. I think it's going to continuously get colder and colder, especially over the northern hemisphere. So we're going to see migrations to the north, and then of people, and then eventually migrations further south. And all this is going to have a big impact on the way we live in this modern day. Because you can't just, shift all the livelihoods of 7 billion people to and fro. But this is a perfectly natural thing, what animals do when they're allowed to roam and migrate freely. The animals do naturally do this. If we just look at the birds in the UK, there's a particular bird, a swallow, that comes from Africa to the UK in the summer and then goes back to Africa in the winter every year. This is a natural thing, but, it's not natural for us to do that in the system that we're in because of the borders and our jobs and our livelihoods that anchor us down to positions for pretty much all our lives. We're not as migrative as the rest of the species because of the way we do our business in this world. We are, as a species, a load of dirty bastards. I've got to say that. We have wiped our asses on this planet, destroyed pretty much everything we've touched, and to this point where we've managed to technologicalise ourselves, we've ended up with the conclusion that the only way we can do any business these days is by putting our conscience in the closet. We are wicked, spiteful, evil beings that are just out for themselves these days. And where that will take us won't be anywhere any of us will want to be in the future. And if we keep the attitude that we're here today and we haven't got to think about the future people that will be there at some point, then the only legacy we're going to leave them is that of a worse will to live in. Animals are conscious. I do see Animals are very conscious, even though they're not walking round with iPhones. They look at us, and you can see it in their faces. I mean, dogs, cats, birds, you can see it. Why do you need the car? Why do you need, to extend your house? Aren't you happy with what you've got? You can almost sense them thinking this. Do you guys remember a couple of years ago when there was them bankers standing on the balcony whilst there was protesters down on the ground level that had lost their pensions, their savings, their livelihoods, and these bankers were throwing application forms for McDonald's down onto the floor to these people? That's the mentality of the people that run the monetary system in this world. And it's the mentality across the range. The precedent's been set for this behaviour a long time ago. But that's why, when there's outbreaks of SARS and swine flu and mad cow disease, they'll flavour the rotting, stinking flesh with chili sauce, because they'll think people won't notice. If they can only smell chili sauce, they won't notice the smell of rotten flesh. Wash the chickens in bleach, and then wash the bleach off the chickens and then pack them. Mark the prices down so that they go off the shelves quick. That's why one of these biggest companies this year wrecked everybody's Christmas, because the turkeys were rotten. You imagine, Christmas Day is a special day for a lot of people, and the people that were rearing these turkeys knew they were off. Yet still, they sold them. That's the mentality of people today. That's the world we live in. And it's not going to get any better. And that's why, you should support people like me that are out there informing you guys and telling you that the world is not how you see it. Maybe this little bit of bringing you back down to earth does you good. But the way things are going, people like me are going to get tired eventually. We're going to stop banging the drum and we're going to put it down, and we're going to end up joining you guys and joining the rest of them and just saying, you know what, it's time to think about myself. And, don't waste any more of my time worrying about such issues, because it's never going to change. It's never going to change on the scale it needs to. So, it should come as no surprise to people that if we do not make the changes we need to, that nature throws up events that make the changes. That results in, quite possibly, grand solar minimums, pole shifts, and oxygen depletion, and many other things, forest fires. Because I've tried to show you guys something. Most of us are completely unaware that everything around us is conscious. Even not just on this planet, but the whole universe is conscious. And we put it out there, and we get it back. And we don't think that our actions in this world has an effect on nature, even though some of you are aware that you are part of nature. So why would that not change the, events of nature? Think about it. You see, we have lost our touch with reality and with the nature of this world. We've detached ourselves mentally from it, and we believe that we are not even part of it. But we cannot do that physically, because we are, we are part of it, and we can affect nature indirectly. And you've only got to look around to see this. 500 people will have viewed this video in a matter of hours of me uploading it onto YouTube, and it will be the same old story as it was with the last 2 videos over the last week. People will think somebody else may contribute to, some of the work that goes on this channel and the website, and towards the experiments that we do and the things we build on this channel. So we don't have to. And it is the case that when you see those numbers of views later on, that no one will have made any effort whatsoever. So, I'm going to leave it here, guys. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my weekend. I hope you do too as well. So what I usually do. Bye for now.